Yo, forgot to turn that shit on. So Discord is in a bit of hot water. And to be honest, I'm not surprised that it's in this situation. Look, the thing was a lot of when I grew up, there used to be so many image boards, and Facebook to an extent was an image board. The point was, teens would communicate with other teens to, plan social events, plan things around that. Using the site is meant to augment interaction, and MySpace was part of that. Now, MySpace just sort of fell through because it's bad. It's an inferior site. You good losing? It's an inferior site to anything else, and with most social media sites, like rules and regulations came out it made it more and more expensive, and you butt heads more and more with legality. And now you're to this point where there's only what, six or seven social media sites when they used to be gone. 20, 30, whole sites would pop out of nowhere because, I don't know, some group of people are doing a project and they make a site and it's on the internet. Now we don't live in that anymore. And again, a lot of these sites like Facebook, and Discord, they want regulations because these regulations, they keep newer sites from sprouting up and competing, and they just leave the couple of social media sites that are there to just effectively be monopolies and not really compete with each other. But with that, these sites become bigger and bigger, and the internet became more and more accessible, and now there are kids on the internet, which I will always say is just a bad idea. There's no reason why someone, okay, maybe when you're 16 or 17 or 15, you should be slowly introduced to the internet, but what the fuck can a 7-year-old glean from the internet? Okay, maybe they can use Chat GPT to cheat on their fucking school, to have it use their schoolwork. I mean, that's something I do, even though I was young on the internet and I knew absolutely nothing of value was going to come from this. Hell, when we grew up, we had them shitty netbooks. There's this thing called Ultra Surf, and with Ultra Surf, you could search literally anything, unrestricted, and yeah, you can search some pretty fucked up things. But again, as a child on the internet, again, most what we do was send fucking ISIS beheading videos to someone else and just watch their reaction. I mean, if you're in my generation, you knew Two Girls and One Cup. That cultural icon, that specimen of media. Absolutely nothing of value can come from the internet at an age where you can't even comprehend what you see until you're 16, 17, 18. Well, I mean, at 18, at that point, you're an adult and can do whatever the fuck you want on the internet. And because of that, there's a lot of legislation being slapped upon these companies. A lot of AI facial recognition companies, and a lot of by biometric companies spring up, and I mean, people are both moral and very pragmatic. Like, I do believe people wanting to ban the internet, like, show facial verification. I do believe they want to protect the children, even though in every other case where that's the case, it doesn't actually protect children. It's just them trying to impose. But I also believe they're trying to get a return on investment into this, like, investing into biometrics and AI. But I mean, again, I think this is just the natural conclusion because there is grooming that happens between adults and kids on these sites. It's inevitable. Like, anywhere where children and adults interact, it's going to happen. And I think the only solution is for parents to parent. I'm not saying this to blame parents. I'm saying this because no matter what, like people are already finding ways to circumvent this verification process. Like they did in the UK, where you can use the face of a video game character to take pictures of it and to use the internet. And kids are crafty little shits, but no amount of like online censorship, loss of anonymity. I just woke up. Any amount of that on the internet is not going to stop and protect children. Like, the only way that will be done, and obviously things will slip through the cracks because systems are not perfect. Unfortunately, you will have the parent that just doesn't care, and the kid finds some fucked up shit. But you gotta understand. It's like, what do I think is the worst thing for the internet? I think people just losing, like choosing not to be anonymous on the internet. People losing that is an even bigger problem because there's so many scams. There's so many people having their ID and their identity stolen. Like, so many of these things are happening. And what do you trust your information in the hands of a multi-billion-dollar company that will probably be data breached? And again, my cynical mindset is I doubt it's an actual breach. I do legitimately believe they're just selling your data and claiming it's a breach to just, get some level of compensation. I'm being cynical here. If you're a tech company that holds people information and some just random whatever the fuck data broker that sprung up in the last month is about to pay you millions and shit, tens of hundreds of millions for people's data, it makes sense, like, to just give it to them. Again, you're a company, right? You're a multi-billion-dollar company. I mean, at the end of the day, you're not a moral entity. You're just there to make money, and obviously you can just claim the breach, and it'll be all good. I think putting your information in the hands of multi-billion-dollar companies that don't actually work in your interest is a far greater issue because it's something you can't stop. Once it's out of the bag, it's something that, one, people gladly do, and they'll be like, oh, if you're not doing it, you're the problem. Like, it's effectively a scheme that people gladly buy into. But, little Jimmy seeing a titty, like, it's bad and I don't want it and there should be some recourse to stop it. I don't think that's the end of the world. You know, I'm gonna be contrarian here. Little Jimmy seeing a titty online when he's 15, 16 is not the end of the world. Now, if they're like 7 or 8, okay, I think at that point you gotta look at the parent and be like, why are you an imbecile? What is wrong with you? So that's my stance on this. One, it's inevitable. And two, well, I I get, well, I can't stop using Discord because I interact with, you know, my people I hired for my company on, well, contracted out technically for my company on Discord. I didn't even talk about what they were going to do. What they're doing is they're slapping people's user profiles on team mode until you verify that you're an adult. And they're obviously going to use AI, and the AI is so good. It can pick up speech patterns, it can pick up certain words, it can pick up like certain, I guess, themes. Like if you're talking about video games, it may assume you're a child. You know, it'll pick up like maybe transactions and maybe like spelling errors. And from there, it's going to determine if you're a child or an adult. And obviously, it's not a perfect system, so if it ever fucks with you, hey, just give us your information, your private information, your face, and your ID, and we'll log it and make you and confirm you're an adult. Which I don't know. Again, if you're like in my situation and you get a lot of PayPal links and links from other payment sites because you pay people, it'd make no sense. Like how many children are just gaining access to credit cards? I mean, it happens, but is it to the extent where, okay, say you buy Nitro, but it still slaps you into the child configure? It still demands you justify, you know, you give your information to, you know, rectify that. I don't know. But one of my opinion is it's inevitable. Two, I think it's bad, but it's inevitable. But it's bad, and I feel like other companies are going to go down this rabbit hole. And again, they're doing this because countries are demanding it, like countries like the EU and the UK and certain states in America want this. Like it wants these companies to effectively rely on like AI companies and biometric companies, making them the monopoly to do these things and by law. So this is going to be a very interesting precedent being set, and I don't think there's any good way to go about this to where it's going to happen. And again, if you're in Discord's position, you'll be like, okay, fine, whatever, to avoid lawsuits in the future, I guess we'll do this. But it will come at the expense of me. Again, it will inconvenience me because I don't want to have to give my information to a company. They should already know I'm an adult. Like, if after all these other stopgaps, it's still trying to get more information from me, I'm gonna assume it's just enemy action. And hell, I might even move off of Discord. Like, I'm a cheap ass. I didn't pay for any fucking Nitro or any of that bullshit. And I never will. Which can be a little bit inconvenient. but it's just who I am. But we'll see what happens in the future. That's all I gotta say about this. Peace.